But I rise today in honor of our police, the men and women who walk the streets of our communities to keep us safe, those who leave their families, do so every day to protect ours. In particular, I recognize the 556 officers who never returned to their families last year, including Saunders County Deputy Sheriff near my hometown. His name was Jeff Hermanson, who passed away. He was a K-9 handler, a volunteer firefighter. Deputy Hermanson is best remembered as a respected officer dedicated to his job. The best way we can honor those who give their lives and their families is to introduce legislation that better protects them on the job and prepares them for their profession and protects them in retirement. This Congress, I introduced H.R. 355, the Back the Blue Act of 2023, which makes it a federal crime to kill, attempt, or conspire to kill a federal judge, federal law enforcement officer, or federally funded police public safety officer. Criminals who cause harm or death to our officers should face punishment to the fullest extent of the law. You know, Mr. Rutherford earlier talked about all these ambushes. This is unacceptable. They must be held accountable. Our police are also facing radical attacks, and there are growing calls for them to be defunded. Let us be absolutely clear. We stand with our police. I'm an original co-sponsor of the Invest to Protect Act, which would direct the Department of Justice to establish a grant program to aid police departments with fewer than 200 law enforcement officers. I'm also on the EAGLE Act of 2023 to assist with the accreditation of small and mid-sized police departments. Unfortunately, there's an effort to eliminate the protections of qualified immunity for police officers. Let us be clear again. Qualified immunity is not a blank check allowing law enforcement officers to do what they want. It only protects them for personal liability if they have not violated clearly established policies. Without it, law enforcement officers would face a deluge of civil suits for simply doing their job. I'm a co-sponsor of the Qualified Immunity Act, which would codify qualified immunity protections for our law enforcement. We are seeing a rise of crime across the nation. In contrast, I want to brag on our Omaha Police Department that has worked with the community to lower crime rates. 15 years ago, the Omaha Police Department partnered with the Empowerment Network 360 to foster relationships with neighborhood organizations, nonprofits, and churches. Coupled with the solid support from the Omaha City Administration, they have the funding to do the work they have identified through these relationships that is vital to lowering gun violence, and they're now a model of success for reducing homicides and violent crime in the city. Recently mentioned in ABC, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, we're one of the few large cities that have seen a drop in gun violence and crime. In 2022, there were 90 citywide shootings, down from 191 just 13 years ago. Even more impressive is that the homicide clearance rates are now at 87% in 2022. It shows our police are working hard and they're professionals. My family's been a victim of crime twice, and both times when I was deployed in the Middle East during my time in the Air Force. I want to take a time just to thank the law enforcement officers who are there at people's worst times in their life. In my case, I was gone both times. When my victim was a crime, I was unable to help. But I know the police were there to support my wife and our kids, and we are grateful. I know this is a story of Americans from coast to coast, Hawaii and Alaska. So these legislative actions, in addition to work of our local law enforcement community advocates, can lead to safer communities and help ensure that our law enforcement officers are able to return home and to their loved ones. So tonight we say to our police, our law enforcement, we thank you, we love you, and we are grateful for what you do day in and day out. And with that, I yield.